Claude Cowork is quickly becoming one of the best tools for AI-powered workflows when it comes to non-development work, especially for co-writing, marketing type workflows. And it is getting very, very close to kind of replacing, in my opinion, Claude Code for these same workflows, which until now has been like the standard for power users, people who have like evolved from Claude desktop and projects and have evolved into Claude Code. Well, now Cowork, especially with this new release that I'm about to talk about today, is getting really close. So much so that I think it's very possible that within the next few weeks, I transfer over my co-writing system into Claude Cowork. So that's what we want to talk about today. I want to talk about this new release that they did, which is plugins for Claude Cowork. Talk about why it's getting so close to, replacing Claude Code for my own co-writing workflows, and also, give you and show you how to put these plugins inside of Claude Cowork. So if you're not familiar with plugins, these are not new. This is not something specific to Claude Cowork. We have already had these in Claude Code, but now it's just super easy. You don't have to deal with Claude Code. You don't have to deal with Terminal, VS Code, Cursor, anything like that. We can just use Cowork on the desktop, right? So if we look at their documentation here for Cowork, which is pretty small, so they're actively advancing this and shipping a lot out and improving this every week. We could see that plugins are ready-made bundles that let you customize how Claude works for your role, team, and company when using Cowork. Each plugin combines skills, connectors, slash commands, and sub agents into a single package. So basically a plugin is just a package of all the other like good things that you can use with Claude, right? So you can have one plugin that has a bunch of slash commands, a bunch of Claude skills, sub agents, all packaged into one, and you easily just import that into your Claude co-working environment or your workspace, all right? We are going to go into Claude Cowork on the desktop app, because Claude itself has already included some plugins from, Anthropic, official plugins from Anthropic. So here we're in Claude Cowork. Make sure you're on the Cowork tab here in the desktop app. And you're going to see now that in the bottom left, let me make this a little bigger here. In the bottom left, we now have this new plugins tab, all right? If you click this plugin tab, you're going to see the first thing it opens up are the official plugins from Anthropic. It looks like they're going to turn this into like a plugin store, a plugin marketplace. So, I'm really excited about this because they already have announced that you can like submit your own plugins, your own plugin marketplaces, and try to get it here. So it looks like that they are going to, really expand this out. But we have, I think it's like 8 right here that Anthropic officially released to kick this off. So you can see we have plugins for bio research, customer support, data, enterprise search, finance, legal, marketing, product management, productivity, sales. So you can see this is all focused on non-development work, which is, fits in with what we know, which is that Claude Cowork is going to become the Claude Code for non-developers. So for the past few months, I've been teaching all of my audience, which is most, pretty much all non-developers using Claude for work. I've been teaching them how to set up Claude Code for these non-development workflows, and soon enough, I will be, switching gears likely in covering Cowork. If you click on one of these, let's just look at the marketing one, for example. If you click on this, you can hit install here. You can install the plugin, and then we can manage it here. But before I click that, I just want you to see that here, you could see we can toggle here by Anthropic. It looks like they might have some space later on for some official partners and stuff like that. We can also have the local uploads, which are the ones that I, upload into here, which I'll show you. And then you can also even add plugin marketplaces from GitHub. A plugin marketplace is basically what it sounds like. It's a marketplace or a big folder with a bunch of plugins inside of it. So instead of just uploading one plugin, now you can upload, multiple plugins in every little tool that's in each one of those. All right. So you can do that from GitHub URL, or you can upload it manually, which I'll show you here. But once you start enabling these plugins, for example, let's enable marketing, maybe let's enable productivity, you can now manage them. So when I click manage here, it's going to pop up. Let's see. Now, this is already something I know this is a good opportunity to take a minute They just released this, and I've found some bugs. For example, if you see, I just clicked manage the plugin, and the plugins just disappeared, basically. And in the bottom left, the plugin's not there. So that's a bug that I've been running into. I'm going to cut this. I'm going to restart Claude, and then it's going to show up. Just be aware of that. But this is such an obvious bug that I think they'll have it fixed within a couple days. But I'm going to restart Claude right now, and then you're going to see the plugins. All right, as you can see, I literally just quit and rebooted Claude up here on the desktop. Super annoying. It's probably going to happen a couple times in this video, so hopefully they fix this soon. But anyways, down here in the plugins now, we can see plugins, and we can now look at all the plugins we have installed here. So you can see we got marketing, and we have the productivity one, right? So you can look at each one of these, and this is what the dashboard of plugins looks like. So for this marketing plugin, we can see the source of where it comes from, Anthropic, the version, and the author. We could see a description of what it is. So this marketing one will help you create content, plan campaigns, and analyze performance across marketing channels, maintain brand voice consistency, track competitors, and report on what's working. They give you a couple like ideas about what you can ask it. For example, draft a blog post with SEO. They show you all the slash commands that are available. Like, this is incredible. This is super cool. You can see all the slash commands and what they do. You're going to see how that works in a minute. And then you can see the actual skills that are included in here, okay? And besides that, if you come up here, we can update. So whenever Anthropic or whatever other provider updates it, we could pull the latest version. We can disable or enable it, and we can also customize it. So if you want, you can click this here, and you could take it over here, and Claude now has this skill and plugin like automatically inside of here where you can just speak to Claude and have it customize that plugin for your own brand or business. So there's a lot of flexibility there, all right? But let's go back to what the plugins, little plugin library here. So we have the marketing, right? If you want to see what each little thing is inside of here, for example, we have a skill for brand voice, which applies and enforces your brand voice. It looks like across the content. If you click this now, you can literally pull up all the skills here, and you can see exactly what's inside of the skill. We can read the markdown file of the skill, the instructions, the description, and we could do that for each one, all right? So here in the marketing skill, you have like the main, home page of the skill. We have, or of the plugin. Then we have the skills, which I just showed you. You can also click here and see the commands. All right, same thing like the skills. You can read the slash commands, see exactly what they do. And then also the third part of the plugin that we have is connectors. So these are literally like MCPs, connectors. And you don't have to install these. It's optional, but it's going to like just tie the whole plugin together, right? So I already have Notion here. I can connect my Notion. You can connect SimilarWeb for SEO. You can connect Canva, Slack, and you can install all of these. And now you're just building out this entire plugin of workflows, of skills, of, slash commands and connectors. So it's really, really cool here, right? So that's the marketing one. Productivity, quickly, you could see this one will allow you to manage tasks, plan your day, and build up memory of important context about your work. This one can sync with your calendar, email, and chat. We can look here. We have some slash commands like start and update. Let's see what skills we have here. Memory management. This skill is a 2-tier memory system that makes Claude a workplace collaborator. It decodes shorthand, acronyms, nicknames, and internal language, so Claude understands requests like a colleague would. So this is all about increasing your productivity, your memory management, your task management. So there are a ton of these plugins now, right? You can browse through. There's 8 from Anthropic, and then this is going to open the floodgates, and you're going to find a ton of more plugins out there, all right? Now, that's great. We have all of these Anthropic plugins, but what if we want to upload our own, all right? So we're going to come back here to the plugin library here in our own Claude Cowork. Click these plugins again. We just got back to right where we were really, but now you could see when you click that, there's this plus button up here, and you can add in plugins. This is going to take us back to that little board we already saw, right? So you can hit like browse plugins. We could see the Anthropic ones that are there, etc. But what we can also do is upload our own, all right? So to upload your own plugin, you're going to need a zip file, and you're just going to upload that zip file in here. It has to be formatted correctly. You could create your own, but this, you would have to know how to do it inside of Claude Code and stuff, or you can upload other ones, all right? So I went ahead and created my first plugin. So we're going to come over here to this Notion page here of my resources here. And what I have is a content repurposing plugin that I built. This is available in my Substack, so if you are not familiar, go check it out. You're going to get stuff like this. So we have this content repurposing plugin zip file that you're simply just going to download. I'm going to go through, I'm not going to go through this now, you can read through it, but I included a README here that talks about what's in the plugin. This plugin that I built is a content repurposer plugin that gives you a complete content repurposing system. It's going to, you can do things like extract ideas, turn one piece of long-form content into 20-plus platform-specific content, generate titles, pull quotes from your content, write platform content for different platforms like Twitter, LinkedIn, Substack, summarize key points. It tells you what skills are in here, quick start, in different ways that you can use it, but that's what we're going to talk about right here. So all you need to do is download this zip file, okay, this content repurposing zip file into your downloads. We're going to go back over into Claude Cowork here, and I am literally just going to drag this zip file here, and this should put the plugin inside. So you can see it's attached here. We're going to click upload, and now the plugin is installed, and we are going to refresh Claude because it glitched out a little bit again. All right, so we're back into Cowork again, and our plugin should be uploaded. So let's go here to our library again. And now you can see we got the marketing in there already, the productivity, and now we have my own content repurposing that you can grab from that Notion page. So we're going to click on that content repurposing. You can see, upload it from file, version 1.0, author Alex McFarland, and this is going to extract and repurpose long-form content in the platform-specific formats for Twitter, LinkedIn, Substack, newsletters, and more. We have the commands, we have the skills. Let's take a look at each one of those. So commands, I have a couple here. I have /all, or this is just shows you all the commands. But then we have extract, which will give you quick content extraction from any source. We have LinkedIn, which will quickly generate a LinkedIn post from your content. Quotes, which will extract quotable statements from the content. Titles, which will generate titles, and Twitter, which will generate a Twitter X thread from that content, right? So these are your commands. And if you're not really familiar with what's going on here, the command is basically a workflow that you're telling Claude to trigger right away. And in that command, it's also going to tell it what skills to use, all right? So you can, call on this command, and then Claude's going to know exactly what to do and what skills to use. But you can also call on skills individually, which you're going to see as well. When you get into our skills library here for this plugin, I've created 7 different skills here. The first is content extraction, and you can read through all of these. These are multiple pages long. But we have a content extraction skill, which will extract content content ideas from long-form content and organize them into detailed tables. We have a key takeaways one, which is pretty obvious. It's going to summarize the key takeaways and create bullet lists. Great for things like SEO or whatever, just summarizing content. We have a LinkedIn post. We have the quote extractor. We have a skill for generating Substack notes. We have one for generating titles and generating Twitter X threads. These are being pulled directly and iterated from my co-writing system that I personally use for my work as well, all right? So we have that uploaded. So now what I'm going to do is show you how it works, how to use it, all right? So let's go back to our Claude co-working space, okay? And what I want to do is first, as you know, if you're familiar, you need to open up a folder to work inside of, right? So what I went ahead and did was I created here on my desktop, just for you all to see, a folder with all of my YouTube transcripts, or like 8 of my YouTube transcripts. So I'm going to open up that folder here inside of Claude Cowork. All right, so we're going to click work in a folder here. All right, let me pull in my desktop here, and you're going to see I have YouTube transcripts, and I put like 8 TXT or 9 YouTube transcripts in here, all right? So I'm going to open that in here. I'm going to allow it. You can open up whatever, folder or system you're using for Claude Cowork, right? But this one's just going to be YouTube transcripts. Now that my YouTube transcripts are inside of here, what I always like to do first is tell Claude something like, familiarize yourself with our workspace here. I've uploaded a bunch of my recent YouTube transcripts. I like to do stuff like that first, just to get Claude like to read everything inside of the folder and kind of know what we're working with before I start kicking off workflows. All right, so we're going to tell it that. It's going to take a look at the workspace folder and see what YouTube transcripts I have. All right, so we have 10 YouTube transcripts spanning from December 2025 to January 2026. It's going to pull in what kind of content I have. Here you can see the progress. If you're not, familiar with Claude Cowork, it has a progress tracker. We have the transcripts here that it's looking into. All right, so it sees that I have an overview, or it sees that I have 10 YouTube transcripts, content focus on Claude Code and AI tools for non-developers. It's going to list out every transcript I have. All right, and now here's what I want to do. Down here, if you see this plus sign, you could click this plus sign and we have plugins now. So now is this new thing, the new tab of plugins. And you could see our content repurposing here, and it's going to open up all of them, right? So we could see all of our commands and we could see all of our skills. So we can literally, invoke any of this. We can invoke a command or we can invoke skills. So you can invoke any of it really, right? And at the same time, even if you wanted to, you could just speak in natural language in the text box, and Claude should be able to invoke all of these skills and stuff itself, right? But this is a good way of visualizing everything. So let's say I want to basically, I want to use the content extraction skill. All right, so I'm going to click content extraction skill, and I want to, let's say, do my most, let's do this one, which was my most recent video on setting up Moltbot, which is now OpenClaw or ClaudeBot, whatever it is that you know it by. This was my most recent video, so I'm going to tell it to just basically repurpose all of that into a new content ideas. So there you can see it's running the skills, and it's going to take this entire transcript and turn it into a big table of content ideas. But first, you can see now what's so crazy and cool about this, like Claude Cowork, is if you're familiar with Claude Code, it sometimes poses questions. And now Cowork is doing that as well. So it's going to ask me, the way I created that Claude skill was for it to ask you what kind of content you want. So it's going to say, like, what platforms do you want content ideas for? I'm going to say all platforms, or social only, or newsletter post social. I'm going to say all platforms. Now I have the full transcript. It's going to do all platforms, and we'll see what it comes up with. Here you can see the progress now. It's going to analyze the source content for high value insights. It's going to extract newsletter ideas, extract Substack note ideas, extract Twitter X ideas, LinkedIn ideas, short form video, and then put an execution roadmap. So I'll let that run and we'll jump back in when it's done. All right, so just finished up. It literally took 2 minutes. And you can see now we got 25 plus content ideas from your Moltbot VPS setup video across all platforms. What's inside? We got 5 newsletters, 7 Substack notes, 3 Twitter threads, 5 LinkedIn posts, 5 short form video posts. All right, identifies key angles. And it literally put this, we can click open here. Now let's open it right here on the side. Let's click this here. And it literally put it in an Excel file. If you don't like Excel or want to deal with Excel, you can literally just tell it to put it in a markdown file or whatever, regular tables as well. But you could see we have this content extraction report. And if you come down here, we could toggle newsletter ideas that we have. All right, we could see Substack notes that we have, Twitter X, LinkedIn, and then long form video. So we can check all of that out. So we got the content extraction ideas, but now let's try out some more. So, all right, so we're going to come back down here to our plus sign. We should see our plugins, back to content repurposing, and let's see here. So we just did the content extraction. Let's say now we wanted to do a LinkedIn post. We can do this command now, which will be just LinkedIn, and we're going to tell it, make a LinkedIn post out of, let's say, another one of my transcripts here. I did this video a while back on research subagents. Let's put that there. And then we can just tell it this. It should understand exactly what to do. So now it's going to use our LinkedIn command to create a LinkedIn post, all right? And if you come here to connectors, it can kind of get confusing, right? Like Claude, Anthropic doesn't help us out too much, because they love to just throw all sorts of different names and tools around, right? So we got plugins and we got plugin marketplaces, and we got slash commands, which includes skills, but you can also call on just the skill by itself. But quickly you're going to get a hang of this, especially when you start using it. So it's asking us questions again. How many LinkedIn posts do we want? Let's just do 3. But yeah, so if you get confused, and you could come down here and go to your plugins, you can also like just scroll over and you're going to see a little description of what each one does, right? So that should help you kind of move a little faster and get in the flow there, all right? So we're going to let it run the LinkedIn post now. So we're going to see what it does. All right, so I just finished up the LinkedIn post. So you can see it gave us 3 posts. This time it gave it to us in Markdown, so we can come look here. All right, so we have 3 LinkedIn posts based off of my YouTube transcripts. So that's it. That's this plugin. I'm not going to go through each little feature here. You can look through each one, so you can look through each one and try them all out here. The last thing I just want to show you is that whenever you do create stuff, you could click the folder here. It's going to show us the folder. Let me pull it over here on my desktop. And this was my folder with all the YouTube transcripts. And we can now see that it's putting like the LinkedIn posts inside of there, the content extraction table as well in the Excel. So it's all working inside of this folder. So you organize it however works into your workflows, right? But that is the kind of basics of using these new plugins inside of Claude Cowork. There are plenty of plugins out there now. We got Anthropic's official ones. I'm sure there are marketplaces of plugins out there. But if you are interested, definitely check out my Substack, where I will be creating plugins specifically for non-development work. So check that out. Subscribe. Come join us. We're over at over 11,000 at this point, and you'll be able to get these easy plugin downloads that I use for myself and my clients and my community uses. It's not easy to find a lot of resources out there when it comes to Claude Code and Claude Cowork and stuff for this type of non-development workflows. It's getting more common, but it's still it's still heavily focused towards coding and more development type work. So that is what I'm trying to do, bring all of these non-development resources to you. So check it out. Drop a comment below, subscribe to YouTube, Substack, wherever you find me, and reach out with any plugin ideas that you might have or that you already are using or created.